Hi and welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to be setting up a notes mini project, is what I get from the title of this. It's going to be all about database tables and indexes. In the last episode, we discussed security measures, particularly related to SQL injections. And in this one, I think we're going to start a completely new app from scratch, at least from the looks of it. Let's find out together. This is Jeffrey Way with PHP for Beginners.
All right, welcome back, everybody. But before we get started, elephant in the room. Yes, I'm wearing a hat. Yes, it's a dad hat. No, it wasn't called that when I was a kid. Yes, that means I couldn't shower today. Yes, my hair's too messy for a screencast. And yes, I got a lot going on. So let's get on with the show.
Okay, let's
So here's
do
what
this,
I'm
Jeffrey.
thinking. At this point, you've learned.
Why do you think I don't have a webcam on yet? I'm basically sitting here in my pajamas. I'm not presentable at all, and this is easier. It's fine. We don't blame you for this, Jeffrey, but thank you for pointing it out.
Enough of the fundamentals that we can start moving on to some miniature projects. First up, we will build a simple note-taking app. Now, of course, we could approach this in a number of ways, but at this stage of the game in our learning, why don't we begin at the database? I will add a new table. And yeah, if our goal is to track notes, well, note is the noun. So why don't we name the table notes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's so useful. He keeps throwing in little nuggets of wisdom. So database table names typically would be nouns.
A note should have a primary key, and then we should also track the body of the note. So let's set the data type to, how about, let's go with text. It can be any length, and no, it cannot be null. And let's save that with Command S. But finally, it would make sense that a note belongs to a particular user. So with that in mind, why don't we also create a users table, and a user will also have a primary key, and then a name. That can be a variable number of characters. It cannot be null. And then why don't we also, for good measure, include an email. And that too will be varchar255, and it cannot be null. Okay, but now here's something interesting to think about.
Okay, let me follow along and set this up. Table plus. I love this app. I like it better than dbeaver. I know I'm comparing apples to oranges. I'm comparing proprietary software to free and open source software, but for what it's worth, it's actually doing its job really, really well. I like it. So no database is selected. Press Ctrl K to select a database, or just go here, show databases. My app, open it up. I have comments and posts, and he deleted them, I believe. Where's this? Yeah, this is so the only thing in my app is notes and users. There's no comments and posts. Cool. So let me drop these two tables. Delete them. Okay. Control S. I don't have any tables now. New table. This was the posts table, I believe. No, not post, notes. Notes. Plural, right? Notes. Yeah. Plural noun notes. And I want to add a row. Column, excuse me. This will be the body. What did it do? Body. And you know what? Let me just delete this. Undo. Okay, let me save this. Delete this. Excuse me. Save it. Make a new one. Call it notes. Add a column to it. Call it body. And data type should be text or varchar. Text, I believe. Here it is. It should not be. I guess it can be null. What did he do? Yeah, body type is text and not nullable. Is nullable. No. Okay, save it. I can actually type no here, I guess. What? ID int null. ID unsigned big int null. Interesting. I can go with int or unsigned big int as well. I don't think that'll make any difference. Well, I'll change it. Fine. There you go. ID int null is nullable, no. And column default auto increment, that's fine. Body text encoding is fine. Is nullable? Yes. Interesting. I should change this to no. I think I did say no, but that's enter, save. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Column, there's no default, there's no question of auto increment. Now I have the users table. Users, there should be a column for a username or just name. I'll keep it lowercase. Data type should be var variable character 255 and should not be nullable. Add another column for email, also varchar 255 varchar can't be nullable. Save. Okay, dokie.
Save that with Command S. But finally, it would make sense that okay, but now here's something interesting to think about. Would it ever make sense in our system?
One second, his char set's UTF-8. Mine is UTF-8 okay, that's fine, I guess.
To have more than one user with the same email address.
No.
And this is important. This is database integrity and consistency. Could we ever have multiple users with the same email address? And I've decided the answer is no. That makes no sense. So the email address always needs to be unique. Okay, so we can do that on a database level by adding a unique index. Let's go down here and we'll add an index. Now we can let the index name be auto-populated, but I do want it to be unique, and the column name is email. All right, let's save that. Okay, so now, and by the way, I get it, this is a new concept, so just come along for the ride. We have introduced a unique index for the email column. And this does a number of things, but right now, what we care about most is it enforces that only one user can have a particular email address. So why don't we try it out? Let's close this out, open my table, and we'll do myself.
Let's do it. I don't know how he added index, but he probably clicked on this. Add index. Index name, email, no, index name was, I think he auto-generated the index name.
On a database level by adding a unique index. Let's go down here and we'll add an index. Now we can let the index name be.
So his interface is different because he's using this. And no, not this. So his sidebar was there. Is this system? No, it's here only. Cool.
Be auto-populated, but I do want it to be unique, and the column name is email. All right.
Okay, got it. So have this be auto-populated. Unique should be true. Is unique true? Okay, and the column name should be email. Okay, save it. Is there a way to have other columns be appear? New column. No. Other prop indexes appear rather. Let me undo this. Delete. Set value. No. I think I got it in the users table. This is command for search. Index. But nothing happened. Let me try to email. Column name is email. But if I press Ctrl S, duplicate here. Okay, so it does exist, but I can't see duplicate key name user email index. Cool. I'm not gonna do this now. But how do I see the indexes? I guess it worked because it said duplicate key, but I can't see the indexes here. Can I can't. There's no properties here either. Okay, let's see how he tests it.
All right, let's save that. Okay, so now, and by the way, I get it, this is a new concept for the email column. And this does a number of things, but right now what we care about most is it enforces that only one user can have a particular email address. So why don't we try it out? Let's close this out, open my table, and we'll do myself, Jeffrey Way, and let's expand these. Okay, we'll set the email to jeffrey@laracast.com and then Command S to commit it. So now notice if I have a different user and we try to use that exact same email address, as soon as I save it, you're going to see an issue. And there we go. We have an error. There's a duplicate entry for this email address.
Okay, let's see if we get that error. In the users array. Undo those changes then. Okay. In the users table, let me go to data, add a row, name is, let's say, code 91, code 91 at example.com, save it. I should delete this row. I accidentally added 2 rows. I'll say code 92, and this should also be code 91 at example.com. Yeah, let's go. Duplicate error key for users. Code 91 at example.com. But if I change this to code 91 or at example2.com, then it saves. Cool. So it worked.
And again, that unique index is what enforced that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's undo this by pressing Shift Command Delete on the Mac. All right, so now let's move over to the notes table and create a new note. And how about PHP for beginners is the best?
I'll delete this user, by the way.
And we'll save that. Okay, but now, of course, I'd like to create a reference or a relationship between this particular note and, let's see, this particular user. So how do we do that? Well, I need to update the table to add what's known as a foreign key. Let's do that now. To the notes.
I think what he's going to do is, because I saw the foreign key label over there, I go to the users table. Over here, foreign key is none. But if let me add a row, I'll just say, you see, this is what keeps happening. That's fine. Delete. Okay, body should be, I love PHP for beginners. Jeff, Jeff. E-O-R-Y. Is it E-O-R-Y or O-R-Y? J-E-F-F-E-R J-E-F-F-R-E-Y. Jeffrey. Jeffrey is a good teacher. Cool. I've saved 2 notes. And if I go to the structure, foreign key was empty. So I think the body should change to, foreign key should change to users table something, username.
Table to structure, and let's add a new user ID. And this column will point to the user who created the note. That's the relationship here. The note belongs to a user. And then what should the data type be? Well, it should be the exact same thing as what you did for the primary key. So in this case, an integer. Finally, can it be null? Well, ask yourself, would it ever make sense to have a note that was not created by any specific user?
No.
And keep in mind, the answer might depend upon the application. In this case, we're going to say, it wouldn't make sense. Every note belongs to a person. So no, it cannot be null. All right, so let's save it. And if I switch back to my notes table into data, yeah, we can update this user ID to point to a specific user. But actually, real quick, notice that at the moment, user ID was set to 0, and there is no user with an ID of 0. So this is another example of potential pitfalls where your database consistency can fall out of whack, for lack of better words. We want to make sure.
Okay, let's follow along. So he went to the users table, the structure, added a column, one singular column, please. And that was user ID, and it was an int, and that's about it. I should really get my mouse fixed, shouldn't I? Delete this row. Okay, so this was done. I'm gonna, it should probably have a default value of 1 or something, and 1 being the administrative user, but let's see. Save it. And if I go to notes, data, user ID is null, right? So I'll change this to 1. Because we have a user with the ID of 1, right? No, ID of 4. We have a user with the ID of 4. So change this to 4. Let's see if it does that.
Sure that everything is consistent. And if we have a note written by a user who doesn't exist, that's a problem. So again, there are constraints that we can put in place to enforce this, and I'll show you how. For now, let's update this user to 1, and then we'll go back to the structure to add our constraint. Okay, so now on the user ID column, check this out. If I scroll for a bit, you'll find a foreign key section. So let's create a foreign key. And yeah, this is not as complicated as it might look. So on the notes table, this user ID column, well, what does that reference? It could be named anything. Does it
Users table user ID.
reference something specifically? And the answer is yes. It actually references the ID column on the users table. right? That's what it points to. It points to a specific column on the users table. So the reference table is users, and the referenced column is ID. And then we have these hooks for what should happen when the referenced record is updated or deleted. So here's an example. Imagine you have a user, John Doe, and John Doe creates a bunch of notes. But then we delete John Doe's account. So now his user record is gone, but we still have all of these notes that were created by John. So we have these orphans now, notes that point to a user who no longer exists. So these hooks allow us to declare what should happen in those situations. So for example, I could say, well, if the user record is deleted, why don't we cascade and delete all of his notes in the process? And as you'll find, maybe that is not correct for your application, but maybe for a different application, it is correct. Another option would be restrict. Don't allow it. Say, nope, you can't delete this user because this user has a bunch of notes and we want to maintain our table consistency. But yeah, in our case, let's just cascade and delete all of his notes in the process, and then I will save it. Okay, so check this out. We have a user, Jeffrey Way. Jeffrey Way has created, let's go to data, exactly one note. Actually, let's do one more. Hi there, blah, blah. And I'll point that to myself as well. Okay, so now because we set up that foreign constraint, watch what happens if I hit delete to delete the user. That will now cascade and delete all of the notes. If I give this a refresh, goodbye, all of the notes in the process. So again, a foreign key and a foreign key constraint allow us to declare and maintain our database consistency. Okay, so you know what? I didn't expect to spend a whole lesson just on databases and tables, but this is really important stuff. So in the next episode, behind the scenes, I'm going to populate this with a bunch of dummy records, and then we will display it on the screen. I'll see you then.
Okay. Okay, let's go. Is there homework? No, there's no homework. Cool. So let's follow along. My user ID is 4. This is what it is. And in the notes, let me save this though. Okay. This needs to structure foreign key. User ID is the foreign key. Create new foreign key. Notes table on the users table. Notes table user ID references the column ID. And on delete, I want it to cascade, meaning delete this as well. Okay, cool. So the other options were set null, so it'll essentially erase the record but still have like an empty record of the note. And the other is set default. So I don't have a default yet, but if I had a default, say something like hello world or hi there or something like that, then that would set it to that once it's deleted, but it's not, so I'm going to cascade on delete. And restrict, of course, as he said, was you were not allowed to delete any user that has associated notes with it. Okay, so user ID, user stable ID. If I update the user ID, which I don't think I ever would, what are the actions? The same. But let me not change that because it's irrelevant in this case. Okay, save it. You have an error, cascade on delete. Check the manual that goes with MySQL version. For the right syntax, use on delete cascade at line 1. Users. Wait, column ID, I said ID. Okay. So let me undo this. Instead of doing it, just ID. Why is the column name not referencing? Okay, let me delete this. Column name is ID. So do I need to add the column name in quotes? No. Okay. User ID is 4. User ID should be int foreign key, create new foreign key, nodes user underscore ID is this column, and on my users table it should reference the ID column and cascade on delete, right?
And delete all of his notes in the process, and then I will save it.
Yeah. So users ID column, it wasn't for some reason cascade. Yeah, it didn't show users parentheses ID. See, it's not showing that here again. Let me try it with this. What? Let me delete this. It's a bug in the software, I think. No, this is not working. Reference column. ID. No. See, the column ID is here. But it's not saving here. Is it because those are two different data types? No. This is a int, and in the users table structure, it's an unsigned big int. Maybe that's why. If I change this to an int, I'll delete this. Let me just fix it right now. Okay. Users, delete this. User should be an int. I don't know why you have this in all caps, but let's see. Yeah, now it should. Because these were two different data types. Maybe that's why. Users ID on delete cascade. Still no? Okay, you have error syntax, check the manual for the right syntax. Column name is ID. Jesus, I hate this software so much. I have to press enter. I just don't have to like type it there. Now it'll work. I'm so sorry. What's happening now? Let me delete this. Breathe a little. User ID is int, and in terms of data, we have it set to 4 users. Is anyone watching me fail at this? No, not right now. Okay, cool. I have to go to the notes structure, and user ID is it can't be nullable. First of all, saved it, and the foreign key should be on the users table. ID enter and cascade. So that was a gotcha. You can't just type and expect it to work in table plus. You have to press enter. Okay, let's see if this works. Indeed it did. Holy cow, this was difficult. Okay, so Jeffrey is a good teacher is linked to user ID 4, which is this person, me, code 91. Okay, now I'll close this, and in the users table if I, what is happening here? No, I don't want raw SQL, I just want this. Okay, cool, cool story, structure, data. If I delete my user, what happens? Okay, delete row, save, go back to notes. Yes, it deleted my notes as well. So everything works as expected. Cool. Press Ctrl F. Okay, I don't know what this is. But wow, this was interesting lesson. Thank you for watching along. What we did was we created two tables, notes and users, and we associated each note with a unique user ID. First of all, we made the email unique requirement, which I can't see over here, but trust me, it's there because I tried to add two users with the same user ID. It did not work. So I don't know how to see that in the table plus user interface. If you do, let me know. Then we made it so that every single note is associated to a unique user ID. Not a unique, but I mean like to one single user ID. And if the user is deleted, then the user ID is deleted, then the note associated to that user is deleted. That was the database schema that we set up right now. Thank you for watching. Please check out laracast.com or the whole YouTube, the whole tutorial series is on YouTube for free. It's almost 11 hours long. Both of these options are linked in the description. And thank you for watching. You have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.